And I learned not to do cinematic mode so much because, yeah, there we go.
Learn not to do what?
Cinematic mode. I don't know why it's like cinematic. One on, there were certain interviews that I did where they used to cut on 3 mics. You know they used to torture people back in the day with this shit. Nah, let me stop. But like cinematic mode is more just for like individual. And I'm learning. I'm not a videographer. I'm not. You gonna see me because I did. Shout out to Caleb, but I did this in his interview. Every time I kept getting because the paranoia was that fucking bad. But no, I feel like it's better just to do it in video quality. Whether you have the 4K 184p, the 180, the regular 4K, or the camera is just cinematic is just for self. But that's neither here nor there. So,
and you can always do like just film it regularly, and then your editing is what puts it into that.
You got any we'll talk about that later. So all cameras are going. The main one is going that I'm gonna use to upload. Y'all, a quick backstory about Xavier here for me. So we had already did an interview, but as a content creator, and it's like, it was so bad, like it fucked me up here. But for some odd reason, my camera ran out of memory, which I was like, okay, I had cleared the micro SD card, and this funky ass microphone didn't catch the audio, so it was just a recording for an hour and a half. The reason why I'm giving him his flowers and his respect and a different intro than I normally would is because he gave me something that I feel like I'm not gonna be able to recreate even in this interview. He also, I feel like it says a lot about his character because a lot of people wouldn't have given me the opportunity to fix this fuck up. And he's given me this opportunity to fix this fuck up. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this may not necessarily be like how it was with the introduction. I'm gonna try to recreate like first time meeting him, like first time interview. That's what I'm gonna struggle with in this interview, y'all. But other than that, Xavier, thank you for allowing me to fix this opportunity. You're gonna see me do a lot of shit back and forth in this interview, like, all right, the camera's still going. But other than that, just like last time, please introduce yourself and we'll go from there. And again, thank you so much.
No problem, man. And I see this type of platform and this type of content as a way for me to put myself out there too. So I'm not just helping you out, you're helping me out. Because it lets people, see what I'm about. It lets people, pushes people to my brand, to wherever I decide to take that brand going forward, because I'm still building. And it allows me a platform to say, hey, I'm Xavier, guys. Come check me out.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Xavier Olivier, longtime martial artist. I've been training since I was 7 years old. My father was my sifu. I've trained in kung fu, karate, capoeira, jiu-jitsu, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And my ultimate goal is I want to get into directing. I want to get into choreography. I have a page online, Kung Wu Tang. If you want to go check me out,
shout out.
I do weights. I do lifting. I'm not a
silverback.
I'm not like a
competitor, power lifter. Or
I wouldn't say I feel like my content creation isn't so much fitness as it is like I use fitness to bolster my martial arts. So
it's part of your martial arts journey.
Yes, exactly.
So, attention span of a squirrel. 7 years old, correct?
Yes.
So please, can you retell the story of how you were introduced to martial arts?
Yeah, I can. So I don't remember what I did, but I got in trouble at school. And I come home and my father, he's like, hey, heard you got in trouble. This is what we're gonna do. And he takes me to his room and he's like, okay, put your foot right here. It was at the corner of his bed. He said, put your foot right here. I was like, okay. And he's like, all right, now bring your other foot to mine. And so I'm like, huh? So I'm like, bringing my foot out. And I was like, okay, this is not so bad. I got away with it. And he grabs my foot by the ankle and pulls it out. I'm like that far from the ground. And I have to stay in this split position. He had me sit there for, I think it was like 45 minutes, like no shit, just not moving. Hey, you're gonna sit here and you're gonna sit in the split.
In that squat stance.
No, it wasn't a squat. It was like, imagine doing a split.
In that split.
Yeah.
In that split stance.
Yeah. And so.
What does that work out out of curiosity? I know it was a punishment, but like, what does that do?
So, with traditional kung fu, and especially from the older generation, a big part of it is flexibility and balance.
Okay.
So you'll see the videos online, or you see the movies. If you remember the movie with Jackie Chan and Jet Li, where they were trying to train the kid, and they would pull his legs behind, like to do a split behind the tree. The whole purpose of that kind of forced flexibility is to get you to a point of flexibility, to get you to a point of flexibility and being able to hold it over time. Because with gymnasts, you see them do the same thing. They'll to do the front splits, they'll put the front foot and the back foot on the blocks, and you have someone push them down because you want to get to a point where doing the basic flexibility, the basic splits is second nature and it's easy. The difference being with Kung Fu is the reason you hold it and they pull you and hold it is they want you to build the strength to maintain it too.
It's probably better to start doing something like that young versus an adult, huh?
That's the other thing too. When you're young, you're still like cartilage, right? Your bones aren't as stiff. Your muscles are more pliable, and so it's easier to gain that flexibility when you're younger. You can do it while you're older, but it's gonna hurt more.
Say less. So anyway, you were introduced to a Wow I Heard at 7. So at the time, did you see it as more? Did you recognize it was the martial arts training because you knew your father knew Kung Fu, or did you just go, "Oh shit, this is worse than a spanking right now, for real"? For real?
So a little bit of both, because my father was abusive.
Okay.
And he was abusive in a way where he justified it. And so, for example,
physically and mentally.
So, for example, one of my punishments, I remember my early punishment, I remember being 5 and being told, "Hey, go stand on your hands in the corner. Like do a handstand in the corner." He would sit there. And if I fell before he let me down, I would get kicked on my way down. So I'm falling down, boom, you get kicked. Or he would just like, bam, on your way down. And so you shit, go back up. Or you're doing push-up position, right? You stay in the push-up position until he tells you to get up. If your knees touch the floor, you get hit with a belt, you get stomped. Right? Kind of just depending on what he felt like doing. So.
Was this like, so when you say handstand, like against the wall or like free?
So when I was younger, against the wall. When I got older, it became walk on your hands. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so you got take a drink.
You need some whiskey in here.
But something strong. Oh my God. Now let me stop. So anyway, you get introduced to it. Well, you've been introduced to it, but you get introduced to martial arts through punishments for fucking up and not fucking up, I guess. So anyway, so after that incident with the split, is that when he said in his mind, all right, I'm gonna train you for martial arts, or what made him go, okay, it's time for you to start learning martial arts? Not doing the training, but actually like, I think you know what I mean.
Yeah. I can only speculate. I feel like it came with his behavior starting to fluctuate. Let's get him focused and let's get him into Kung Fu, right? Let's start his training, because I'm gonna teach my kids Kung Fu, right? Okay. I'm not gonna teach it the same way I was taught, because I'm not a dickhead, but I'm gonna teach my children Kung Fu. And the thought process of any martial art, whether it's Kung Fu, whatever, is it helps you focus. It helps you concentrate.
Keep it going, the PTSD is going.
It helps you focus. It helps with concentration.
We're good.
It helps with confidence.
We're good.
It helps with basically everything. You know, it helps with perseverance. You have to keep going. It teaches you integrity. There's just too many benefits from putting a child into a martial art. And so that's where I like to think he was at, but at the same time, I explained to you the type of person he was. So it really could have been, you know what? This little nigga needs to do some Kung Fu. And it could
brothers and sisters?
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
So did they train along with you?
So my older siblings, I have an older brother and an older sister. We call ourselves the original 3 because we're all a year and a half apart. I'm a year and a half from my brother. My brother's a year and a half from my sister.
Got you.
And so we were all close in age, and we all trained together at first. At a certain point, when my sister got a little bit older, he let her stop, but he made me and my brother continue. And me and my brother continued, and then when my younger sister was old enough to train, she started training with me, and at that point, my brother kind of aged out of it, and then it was just me and then my younger siblings.
So you've continued, you've continued your training the longest out of all four?
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that being, so what was training like for you guys when you were little? Like outside of maybe whatever scuffle you got into, either out on the street or out on, in school. Like I guess you guys were each other's opponents. So what was that like? Like training with family?
Training with family is always going to be fun in any setting, because let's say you take your brother. You have brothers?
I got one older, 11 years, but I got one older sister.
Well, anyone with siblings who are close in age, like you guys bump heads. You don't always see eye to eye. But if you're close, like my family is close, then like I can call my sister everything under the sun. But as soon as you say something crazy, it's a wrap. No questions asked.
Click.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so when we were training, it's the same mentality. Like we'll go at each other real hard when we have to, and then we'll lighten up when we have to. But we know it's in this controlled space. How that translated with my father was and I don't want to sell it too much, but we were literally in a fucking kumite. Like this, no gloves, no mouthpiece. Like, hey, you over here, go fight. And we would, when we started fighting for real, I was like 11,
okay.
10, 11. And so that's when we started fighting seriously. And so we're trying to like not hurt each other, because we're like, yo, this shit hurts. I don't get punched in the face. And I don't want, so we're like, all right, let's take it light. The first time we did that, my dad picked us both up by our necks like this. He shoved my brother like that, and he threw me down on the ground. He was like, okay, if you guys don't want to fight, we're going to fight me. And he's like, get up, we're going to try this shit again. And I was like, oh, God. And my brother whooped my ass. He hit you with the Joe Jackson.
Deal with me. He like, oh hell no.
And my brother took it personally. He's like, man, I'm not getting my ass whipped for you. But I understood. And so and it wasn't like I was just a punching bag, I got some hits off, but my brother, I always say if my brother had continued, he would have definitely been the best out of all of us. He had such a mind for fighting and such a mind for like biomechanics. He was just so innately good at what he did. And then my older sister too, I made the joke last time, in the old school kung fu movies, there's always that one kid, that's always that one student that they call the kung fu, the guy who's kind of like bumbling, he doesn't really know what he's doing. That was me. All right, that was me. It took me a long time to get competent. Like if you look at other martial artists that have been training as long as I have, you'd be like, dog, like, what the heck? I'm like, yeah, I know, shut up, I'm trying. But
allow me to ask this, brother, and I did this last time, so just to bring it full circle. So your Shifu, your father, what's the history with him? Because he has obviously extensive knowledge. Like if you guys see how he trains, how he lifts, or whatever, respectfully, you have a very strong foundation in that. Like I would trust you to be a coach. So with that being said, like what is your father's credentials like? Like how is he in? Again, I believe I asked this last time. Nationality black, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how did he as a black man get I got you. but somebody of color, how did he get introduced to, and not the fake shit, but the actual traditional art of Kung Fu?
So that is a question that's kind of steeped in a little bit of history.
Okay.
So during the time of like the blaxploitation films and the Shaw Brothers era of martial arts films, there was like a boom in interest in martial arts. That's kind of coincide with the evolution of the b-boy, because b-boys would take moves from like kung fu movies and turn it into dance.
History lesson, y'all. But yeah.
Message.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Anyway.
But the same way that they were using that to learn, people were starting to seek out teachers.
Okay.
There was also the influx of Asian immigration at that time,
Okay.
and that's where you see that's when you see more and more schools pop up, because that's what they would do. They were teaching where they were at, and then when they immigrated here, that was the skill they had, so they would open up schools, and that's how we as Americans started to get access to things like karate, kung fu, taekwondo. We didn't learn it ourselves; it was brought here, and we were taught it. That's why with kung fu specifically, you have to kind of start at Bruce Lee, because there were kung fu schools in America at the time. But remember, the big thing about Bruce Lee is they chastised him because he was teaching to Americans. He was teaching.
So when you say they, you mean
other kung fu masters, other
Okay.
instructors. They
so
were
that
like,
thing we see in the movie, that's a real thing.
Yeah, that's a real.
He was really criticized and attacked by his own
and
people
you'll
because they
even
didn't want it to the States.
You'll even see stuff like that today. Like if I were to go to China right now, and there are certain schools that are like, hey, like, we respect you, but respectfully, we only teach to Chinese nationals. We only teach to each other. And I said it last time, but Kung Fu, unlike a lot of other martial arts styles, wasn't developed simply for violence. Kung Fu has origins in medicine. It has ties to philosophy. You know, monks, they practice Buddhism or Taoism. It's part of their folklore. It's part of their history. It's so ingrained in their culture. So for specifically Kung Fu, I can understand the mentality of, hey, why are you sharing this with people who don't necessarily care about us? So specifically white people.
So allow me to
At the time, not all bad.
ain't not like I know. I'm sorry. No.
Ooh, I didn't answer the question.
Yeah. No, that's fine. 'Cause you still gave us a history lesson. But
Once that bridge got gapped, it took a while, but once that bridge was able to be built, there was access to it. And once black people started getting access to it, we shared it as much as we could. So George Creighton Sr. is my father's instructor. He's based in New York, and George Creighton went to China, did training in China, got officiated in China, came back with his rank and with his knowledge, and built his base there. And that's where my father learned from.
I'm gonna bring it back to circle again. Attention span of a squirrel. No. So one question I did have, and I will do my best to make sure we stay on the path.
Yeah.
So how far back do you believe? Question number one. How far back do you believe the concept of not maybe martial arts, because you have so many martial arts out there, but Kung Fu, how far back do you believe Kung Fu traces back? Like, could you say maybe like BC, AD, even like caveman days?
So, Kung Fu, as far as I understand, can be traced back to someone called the Yellow Emperor in 2600 BC.
Okay.
And the Yellow Emperor, like it's a book. It's a Yellow Emperor question mark. I can't remember what that third thing is, but essentially it was a book on medicine.
Okay.
And healing.
Okay.
And so from that point, at least one of the school of thoughts is from that point is where Kung Fu started to bloom.
Okay.
It starts to spread out and do other things, because people took that book of medicine and expanded on it and grew on it, and then they decided, okay, hey, we can use this to make ourselves stronger. We can use this to defend ourselves, et cetera, because last time I told you animal styles, because Kung Fu isn't just animal styles. It's a bunch of different things, and we can get into the weeds of that if you want, but animal styles in particular were used. People were copying animals in the way that they move, because the thought process was, hey, this tiger is big and strong and healthy. I want to be big, strong, and healthy. How do they do what they do? Okay. Same with how do mantises hunt, and so that's where you get the mantis strikes. Like it's all like that's
got dizzy from that.
that's what the thought process is. So going back to your question, if you think in terms of movies, animal style, hungar, stuff like that, you're probably looking at maybe around 100 BC, somewhere in that time. But if you're talking about the raw origin, it's around 2600 BC is the general school of thought.
So still on that one, and then So it's safe to say that there's millions, billions of manuals that were probably built since that time, because that's a very long time. If we were to take it back to, would you say, quick answer, short answer, would you say, or long answer, you know what I mean, I'm just spin a squirrel, y'all. Would you say that there have been manuals that are either have been destroyed, lost, or irrelevant out of the vast manuals that came out from that one? Trace, would you say that there's so much lost knowledge in the realm of Kung Fu?
Oh, absolutely. And not just Kung Fu, just martial arts in general.
Okay.
'Cause you got to think, let's say, let me go back. So Kung Fu schools were built a little bit differently than other places that do martial arts, at least according to my knowledge, where a Kung Fu school was legit a place of like education. You go to your master, you pledge your loyalty to that master, and then you learn their style of Kung Fu, you learn their school of thought. It was a whole thing. The big Kung Fu schools had ties to the community. They might have been part of local government. They might have been part of the local police force, but it was a huge, huge part of that particular area. And so let's say that person, that school built enemies. Even if that's the best martial art in that area, if all of their enemies decide, you know what, we're tied to this person's wealth through jealousy and just human nature, right? If they
It could have been the superior martial art,
right?
too.
But even if they're the superior martial art, numbers are always going to win. If you get 100 nobodies, and you only have 10 good martial arts, you're going to lose every time, because the 100 nobodies, as long as they can throw a punch, like it doesn't even have to be a good punch. They just have to overwhelm you.
So it is safe to say some really good martial arts probably have been lost because of the few numbers. Well, so how about?
So don't even think of it as, oh man, they didn't have enough people. They probably had a large following. But if I build an army of other people that want to take that wealth, then it doesn't matter. My army just has to beat your army. So you could have good numbers. We just have to trap you. We just have to trap you. We just have to outsmart you. We just have to get you in a place of, hey, we're taking over. And a lot of times, poison was the way. Look back on history. How many great leaders, great empires got toppled because of poison? It's because
that's when they had the taste testers and all that.
Yeah, and it's like, look, like we can't beat these dudes. These dudes are flying across trees. This nigga just jumped from the floor to the ceiling. We're not gonna beat this dude. Let's poison the food. Let's break bread with him. Let's pretend to be cool, and then poison, dead. And it's just that simple. And then once you break that chain of command, just like you're in the military, you understand. Once that chain of command is broken, if a good follow-up hasn't been established, then everything breaks down.
Oh boy.
That's why.
Oh shit.
That's why I will always have confidence in, not to be weird, but I will always have confidence in us as a country going to war, because if all the chain of command died today, right, it would be chaos. It would be, but all of the lower enlisted people should have the basic level of knowledge to keep the machine running. Should have. But we know.
Yeah, okay. Not about that. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna keep it just up in here. We're gonna
capital should.
We're gonna come back to the history a little bit, because the one thing I want to speak on your father. You had said something, a light bulb had came up. So I'm not asking this out of ignorance, but do you feel like because they didn't want it to come back to the States, and I'll just say Caucasians or the white man or whatever, they didn't want that knowledge to come into that group of people, do you think they were more susceptible to teaching us more than them, or it didn't matter because you were in the States, because you were an American, they just didn't want that over here?
So that's a good question.
Okay.
And you'll get different answers depending on who you ask.
Okay.
So I've had the opportunity to train with a bunch of older black people who grew up in that time. And some of them will tell you that, it was easy to ask to be a part of it, because, they saw the oppression. They saw like, oh man, They're not trying to take and destroy. They just want to learn. They want to defend themselves, et cetera, and they want to be a part of it. And so I feel like it's half and half. You have just like with any culture, with any race, with any country, you're gonna have half of the people that are like, no, this is us. Nobody else gets it. And then you're gonna have the other half that be like, you know what? It's chill, man. Let's spread this love. Let's spread this knowledge. Let's break bread. Let's all grow together. And so it depends on who you ask is how I would answer that question.
Okay, thank you. So with that being said, your father back in those times got the training. So how long? You don't just get the title of Sifu. Like a lot of people can play that, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like, do you happen to know like what your father to get that title?
So
Is it a title or a rank? I'm sorry.
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. Just like so Kung Fu, we have belts, but a belt in our philosophy is just to hold up your pants. If I were to start a Kung Fu school right now, right, and let's say you trained with me for a year. I trained you. You're my first student. He's student number 1. I have 20 people join today. He's student number 1. The last student is student number 21. I could say, hey, student number 1 fight student number 21, and I expect
Wait,
them.
what the fuck?
Exactly. It's not.
So my 1 year training, you gonna really put me against the day one?
Well, probably not day one, but probably once he starts fighting, yeah, get in there. Everyone gets experience. Once you start moving around, once you start fighting, we're all equal.
I gotta ask this question. So what if, Lord forbid, I'm not gonna say what if student number 1 embarrasses you and loses?
Then he loses.
No,
it's not. So it's not embarrassing. It's just, if anything, it's enlightening. It's how did he lose? What did he do wrong? How do we grow from this moment? Okay. Like people get scared to lose to like, oh man, he hasn't been training. No, if he hasn't been training, then he clearly has something to offer that you have yet to see. Or he has a talent that just needs to be refined.
But isn't there an expectation for student number 1 to hold?
Of course,
That's all I'm saying. That's what I was like.
The expectation is there, right?
Okay, yeah.
I expect, so if I were to do something like that, the expectation is, hey, you're not just gonna beat the crap out of this kid, right? Or this man, whoever I put you up against. Okay. The expectation is, hey, you're gonna show him what we do. You're gonna be able to hit him and move, but he's also gonna be able to learn from you. And training is supposed to be a place where we all grow. So there's no egos. There's no I'm better than you. I've been doing this longer than you. We can all learn from each other equally. And so that's the philosophy we take. And then to kind of turn it back around to your question. So you have student number 1, then you have Si Hing and Tai Si Hing. Si Hing, older brother, Tai Si Hing, oldest brother. After that, you have your Sifu, and then Sifu goes further up in ranks to different titles.
Oh, so Sifu isn't the final?
No.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's different titles after that. But those titles are essentially bestowed on you. Like you're not even like you can train and then do your testing and then go depending on what school you're from, they have different processes. But for our original process, before we broke off from George Creighton, you would train under George Creighton for a month. Once George Creighton said, okay, you have demonstrated all the skills that you need to know, all the forms, all the school forms, all the animal forms, all your personal forms. You need to be able to fight. You need to be able to do our round robin rounds with every student in the building. And you do this for a period of time to showcase, okay, he has demonstrated not only mastery and understanding of the style, but the capacity to teach. After George Creighton was signed off on you, you would then go to China and go to the mother school, to the main school, and then you would go train there for a period of time.
Rewind. George Creighton. So was he the gate, or was there other people?
For our style, he was the gate.
Okay.
I believe he was the gate because after him, the instructors after him are all in China.
Okay.
So
with that being said, is there certain keywords is what makes me ask this next question. So is there a level of you know how, like you said in the military, like with rank, there comes certain responsibilities, but there come certain rewards. So as a Sifu and higher, like what are you allotted to have, if that makes sense, outside of students? Like respect,
So-
yeah.
If the rank of Sifu, when you earn it, when it's given to you, you're then allowed to open up a school and have your own students, right?
Okay.
You cannot give, as a Sifu, you cannot give someone else the rank of Sifu.
Okay.
Just like you could technically open up a school as like once you hit Tai Chi Hing or once you hit black belt, right? You would have to give your Sifu's permission, but you could technically open up a school, but you're only allowed to give rank up to 2 below you. So you being the Si Hing, you couldn't give someone an equal rank to you. Okay. So most of the time, it's just, okay, we'll wait until we earn the rank of Sifu, then we'll branch and open up our school.
I got you. So I'm bringing it back to the father. So at the end of the day, he earned his title and rank as Sifu, started in New York. Y'all are here now in North Carolina, so we're going to bring it back to your father's teaching you and your family. So you went through the training, you went through the regime and everything. So from 7 to, I want to say, I'm asking, 11, all that training, what was your first bout like when you were, I guess, going through your, whether it was certification or training or sparring, like how many years of training did you do before you actually got in the ring?
8.
Oh, so it was, okay, so,
Yeah.
so
like,
you trained for a year?
What?
So you said you started at 7?
No, 8 years.
Oh,
Hey,
shit, okay,
hey.
okay, yeah, okay.
And before that, we had gone to other schools. We had fought other students. We
In
had
the
done,
States or in China?
States.
Okay.
And we had done things like that. But my first actual competition, my brother, he competed before me. And my father actually took him to New York to start his advanced training with his instructor before we broke away from them. Okay. So my brother actually got a little bit more of the source material than I did.
And yeah, you're the one who still continues the training. Hopefully he doesn't see it. Like, what that mean? Nah.
Nah. Like I said, my brother, I maintain that had he continued, especially if he fought, there's no organization he couldn't be a part of.
Okay.
Yeah, he was that good. My sister's that good too. My younger sister, man, all of my siblings can fight, dog.
So they are him/her.
Yeah, all of them. Mm-hmm. My younger brother, he wants to get into boxing. And I keep telling him, just get into boxing. And my younger brother was crazy talented because I actually started his training because that was part of my training. I had reached the point that my father was like, hey, you need to start teaching. And so I was teaching.
Keep it going, paranoia,
yeah.
PTSD.
So I started teaching and like under his watch and stuff.
We're good.
And so I was in charge of the younger kids and I would bring them to tournaments. I don't like to toot my own horn, but these little kids, I had them going to war. They were cleaning house everywhere we went. And I was like, and I had them.
You hit them with the get them, huh? Take that channel, get them. No, let me be quiet. Yeah,
I had them a little too riled up. In hindsight, I'll admit, because I was like, hey, don't talk to nobody. Go in here, start your warm ups, start your stretching, and then come back to this area. Don't let nobody talk to you. Don't be nice. This is a.
What the hell? So they were that locked in? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, yo, like this is a tournament. Like, your friends before, your friends after. During, these are pieces of meat, and you need to chew them apart. And
that's what you got, didn't you?
Yeah, Cause kids.
You got how he growled me. No, I'm sorry. Kids, and stuff. Yeah.
Kids get so locked in. That's why I say it's good to teach them young, because what you tell them, they will absorb it. Even if it seems like they're not listening, they're listening. So they will absorb what you give them. So if you're teaching them to be animals, they're gonna be animals.
Gotcha.
And again, I won't do that now because I understand they gotta go out to school later. You know,
remember that shit you did to me on the map, motherfucker? I got my boys with me now, bitch. No,
I've calmed down over the years, but. Dang, I forgot what the question was. Man.
No. We were having a good time. I'm sorry. That's what I like about these interviews. But anyway, so your first time basically in the bout. So remember, because I said,
oh yeah,
first time. You said 8, and I said, wait, so you started? At 8?
Yeah,
like, no, 8 years.
So I started training at 7
years old.
Mm-hmm. It was about 2 years. Yeah, it's about 2 years before I started sparring my brother and my sister.
Okay.
once we started sparring, it was go.
Okay.
We didn't get a light, tip, tat, like learn how to move. No, it's like, hey, we've been doing the movements, we've been doing the drills, you know what to do, fight. And it was from that point where we really started getting active. My brother was actually taken to New York to compete. I didn't have my first tournament until I just turned 15. And at that point, I was so like locked in, ready to go, that I was like, yes, finally. But because before that, it was like a tournament here, it was like a tournament there. Go fight these students. If we did kung fu tournaments, it was like, hey, just participate. There was no expectation of me. And so I guess it's more accurate to say 15 wasn't the first time I was competing. It was the first time anything was expected of me. It was the first time anything was like, hey, look, go out.
By your father?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the first time, hey, go out and actually do. And so I consider that my first real tournament.
I'm asking, and I know that regardless, because it was shaky and everything, do you feel like you met his expectation? The only reason, because it sounds like the training you went through, whether it was rigorous, cruel, light, or whatever, you went through some real ass training. So with that being said, do you feel like you met his expectation?
Oh yeah, so I lost. I told you. So as a kung fu practitioner, there are not a lot of kung fu tournaments in the U.S. There are, especially on the East Coast. On the East Coast, I would have to go more towards New York, and maybe down in Florida. I think they have one every so often, but it's few and far between. You can throw a rock
in the States.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can throw a rock. And hit it, and yeah.
Damn. No, I'm just saying it's kind of so. I'm thinking about resources, certification, knowledge,
Exactly.
and all that.
That's why.
And when you, yeah.
And so, it's. Anyways, you can throw a rock and hit a karate school. You can look up karate tournament and find a tournament within like a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many. It's just a saturation. So when we were looking for places to compete, that's where we went. When we didn't have a kung fu tournament, we would go fight the karate people. And at the karate tournaments, they like to do point fighting. And point fighting is essentially tag. It's a game. Well, that's an insult. It's a sport, right? The sport is, can I get to you before you get to me?
So like, hey, buddy. Now let me say,
because they're good. There's some excellent fucking point fighters out there. So Wonder Boy from UFC was a point fighter. Raymond Daniels was a point fighter, and these guys will knock you TF out. Okay. Yeah. So it's not an insult.
Hard cock back.
Yeah, it's not an insult. It's just, it is what it is. It's a game. It's a sport. And so I didn't understand the sport when we started, so I lost. But I broke the kid's ribs. They had to carry him out. And so like,
is there anything equivocal to that in Kung? I'm sorry, something the point fighting part, right? So is there something equivocal to that to Kung Fu or
no? Because we have Sanda, right? If you go to Sanda tournaments, and Sanda is just kickboxing. Okay. You at the different levels, you'll get at the beginner level, right? They'll give you the headgear, the hands and the feet. Intermediate level, you take off the feet, and you just have the hands and the headgear. And the pro level is just kickboxing. Okay. And so that's Sanda. There are certain tournaments that will do like a point system, but the point isn't, oh, I got you, is my point. It's have you demonstrated that you have won that exchange, right? So if we come in, boom, 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 and I finish with an uppercut and a hook and then front kick you out, that would be my point. Same scenario, I do the front kick, but you grab my leg and then you're able to do a trip and then hit me while I'm down, that would be your point. And so it's points, but they kind of let the clashes go. And again, those tournaments are specific to that type of to that type of game, essentially.
So allow me to ask this, and we're gonna bring it back to the tournament where you cracked Good Buddy ribs, and you said you still lost, regardless if you did that. I could not have done that. I'll be like, him? But no, okay, no, let me stop. Let me stop. So in each martial art, so I guess you have the point system in karate or various forms of karate because you got more than one. But since you were introduced something to you at the time that was foreign, could you say it's kind of like that in other martial arts? And the reason why I asked that, so it sounds like Kung Fu, like you said, because of how far it traces back or whatever, it was never really meant to be something used for a sport. It was either like a life, you could really say Kung Fu is like a life or death type thing, right?
Yeah, so again, with its origin, with every martial arts origin, most of the time, except for Muay Thai, I think Muay Thai was the only one that's like, yo, like this is just strictly violence. I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah.
But from what I know about Muay Thai, it's one of the only martial arts that its formation, it wasn't about medicine, it wasn't about healing. It was about it's like, hey, tie these bones to your shins, we're going to war. And like it was like the history of Muay Thai, again, I don't know it as well as I know
Kung Fu, yeah.
But they get active. And
like brutally?
Yeah.
But we'll bring it back to that, I got you, yeah.
To come back to your question, most other martial arts styles, the origin is in medicine and or philosophy.
Okay.
It's in like longevity, promoting longevity, or the actual art of healing. And so that's where most martial arts have their origins from.
So where did this point thing come up from?
You got to think that's a relatively new system in comparison to how old the martial arts are. Even karate, like karate tournaments back like before they were popularized, it was like, hey, you get over there, you get over here, boom, go. And it was like a kumite. You go until someone loses.
So it's again, because you did say it multiple times, but you also can say certain martial arts at the end of the day were used for killing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
okay. So this don't sound so bad. So who would you say like softened it? Americans or
Time softened it.
See, somebody gonna be like, you thought. Now let me stop.
No, because you gotta think. In the early civilization period, if you weren't in like a big city, if you weren't in like a big protected city, you were essentially out in the fucking wilderness. You know what I mean? You were out and you had to hope that whatever police force was going to be able to get to you in time, or you had enough of a local presence to protect yourself, right? Other than that, you were gonna get got. And so the need for a way to defend yourself was extremely high. The more modernized things become, the larger that society is and the larger the cities get, the more protection is there, the less the need for a way to defend yourself decreases. Even like people will be like, well, more people means more danger. Sure, but the presence of law, the presence of a system that punishes dramatically decreases the presence of chaos. Even as high as crime rates get into an area, if you take away a police in that area, if you take away policing in that area, if you take away punishment in that area, those numbers are gonna go up
crime and shit,
astronomically. Think about how many people you pass on a regular basis that have crazy intrusive thoughts.
But then they know, like, I ain't gonna make it in jail or
Right,
prison.
you've had an intrusive thought. You walk past a dude, I can break this nigga's neck, and you just keep it moving.
I've never thought that, but
well,
have you? Yeah, no, let me stop.
My bad. Whoa.
Let me get somebody took the 5 off your rack without asking. Oh God, no, let me stop.
So you got to think the presence of the idea of punishment, just the idea of it, dramatically decreases the chance of a person.
Yeah, because a lot of people they're willing to hurt, but they're not willing to die or spend time.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah.
And again, there's always going to be people who don't care regardless. But
yeah, take me back to jet now.
Yeah, there's always going to be those people.
Yeah.
But not to get too much into the philosophy of crime, because that's a whole podcast by itself.
You right. Don't worry. I'm gonna bring them back for that one.
Anyway, yeah. And so, to bring it back to your question about time, how it softened martial arts. What was introduced as an alternative to martial arts, firearms. You can have a firearm, and now you don't need to learn how to fight. You don't need.
Yeah, you can hit me 60 times in 3 seconds, but pow!
Right. Even the musket, right? Just having one of that on your land. If someone tries to rob you, pow, from your house, shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's good.
Not the musket. No, I'm sorry.
With the musket, the way that those rounds were set up, like it's a small cannon, and it's literally just a spear. And if it hits you, that body part is probably gone. So,
I appreciate you for this. I'm bringing it back full step. Oh my God. Pow! Now let me stop. I'm sorry. So anyway, so bringing it back to the tournament. So you met your father's expectations, even though your first time doing that, you lost. So what did that do to your temperament? Because clearly you wanted to win, right?
Dog, when I tell you, in my early life, I was a fucking pit bull, dude. I was like so wound up all the time, just because I had to maintain AB average, and my B's, when I got B's, it was like, you could do better. I had to.
Oh, Lord forbid you came home with a C+.
Oh, dude.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Man, so fun
Take
story.
a trip down memory lane.
Fun story. I decided to buck on the system in like 6th grade. So I was just like, that's when my procrastination really started to hit. And I stopped wanting to do stuff. So like, I was making hundreds on tests, but I wasn't doing my work. And so one of my progress reports came back, and I had
C+.
No, it was like a 67.
Oh,
and
hell
she had highlighted all the work that I missed in yellow highlighter. And I was like panicked. So I was like, fuck it, I gotta get out of here. So I took off. I ran. And so when my dad caught me, he's like, all right, bet. So he whooped my ass in the street. Which, to be fair, I ran away. So he's like, hey, nigga, what are you doing? Brought me home. And he was like, all right. So my mom, she fed me. She's like, oh my God, what happened? You ran away, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm terrified, Mom. I'm scared. I'm just fucking scared. You know? But once I got fed, he put it on the floor. He's like, get in front of it. And I got in front of it, and my push-up, he was like, you're not allowed to move until your sweat changes the color of the highlight. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not allowed to get up. What are the chances of that sweat? Oh my God!
So
How long were you there for?
I think 3.5, 4 hours.
In the push-up position?
Yeah, 3.5, 4 hours.
So you was doing an elevated plank, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then like, I was 6th grade.
So you'd have got your ass beat up and down the street, came back home, got fed. He said, yep, that's enough nutrients that he's going to need, and he going to plank for, oh my God.
And so, obviously, like at that age, I'm not standing there perfectly for 3 hours. In fact, I want to say it was like the first 45 minutes where I started to get shaky.
Did he watch the whole time?
Nah, he would like poke his head out when somehow he knew exactly when I was going to fucking like try to like cheat it or just get fucking tired. And so he would be like, he'd poke his head out from the room, because I remember we had the steps right here, and it was his room, and then right here was the living room area, and I'm right here, and I'm like looking at the door. And my knees would touch. And then before I could even think about like fixing myself to get back up, boom, you stomp.
Yeah. Boondocks mom. Anyway, so
did I hear happiness in there?
Nigga, you trying to beat somebody? Oh my God, I'm sorry. Anyway, bringing it back, and this is like the 6th time we had to bring it back. Crack Good Buddy's ribs, you didn't win. We were talking about your temperament, but so like, even though it was a win that the judges deemed a loss, like what did that do to you, like perception as far as like as a fighter and as a martial artist?
So one, it opened my eyes to the idea of
paranoia, PTSD.
It opened my eyes to the idea of sport, right? What's the sport that's being done, and what is my skill that I'm bringing to that sport? Because again, I think I'm a pretty decent fighter. Even me not having sparred in a minute, I think I'm better than like your average person. Maybe up to intermediate, low advanced level. I think even me I haven't had a sparring partner in a minute. Even without that, I think if you
break them all. I mean,
I think if you put me in a ring with someone in that bracket, I'll do well. I'm not gonna win all of them, but you'll be like, okay. He's got it.
What about their ribs though? No, let me stop. Yeah.
And so it took me a long time to be like, you know what, I disliked point fighting immediately.
Okay.
I disliked it immediately.
Okay.
But he was like, look, if you're getting beat to the punch, essentially, that's why you're losing. You're not being definitive in your strikes, and you're not getting your strikes off fast
Wait,
enough.
so somebody was quicker to
Yeah.
to tap you basically.
Right, but the way that I was taught, it was like, look, if you could take a jab, you could take a soft jab, if you're like, because you're
Your daddy didn't know that? No, but that's what kind of popped up in my head when you said that. So, I am so sorry, just forgive me, right? So, you do all this training, and then he puts you in for point fighting. So, I'm just asking, like, general question, wouldn't it have been good to know before you went in there, like, hey, this is based off, or did he already tell you? So here's
the thing. Here's the thing about my father that you have to understand. He is very, very good at teaching kung fu.
Okay.
That's where all that stuff ends. Outside of that,
did he put you in there knowing that you would lose that way?
I don't know what he knew.
Okay.
Is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Because, like, my father, he has the gift of gab. Okay. He could sell ice to a fucking. He could sell ice to I can't say that word. I forgot it's a slur now.
Yeah.
But that mentality. That's how he is. He's a snake oil salesman. He can sell himself.
A ketchup popsicle to someone in white gloves. That better be. I tried to help. You said you couldn't think, and I said, you know what? Let me.
Oh my God.
To the church.
That's a good one.
Church white
That's
gloves. Ketchup, the lady in white gloves. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so when I think about the reasoning of why he did a lot of stuff, it's hard for me to understand because I don't see him. He's not just my instructor. He was my father. We don't speak, and the reason we don't speak is because of the years and years and years of abuse. And I would watch my father talk to these people. I watched someone. He had known this person for a short amount of time, and my mom was like, she watched this person sign a $10,000 check over to my father. And this man had nothing to show for it. Like he just through them speaking, he was able to convince this person to invest their money and time into him. And that's one of the things that my father was really, really good at. His follow through was always bad. His follow through always, at least to me, from what I was seeing, because I'm like, yo, like you had at one point our school was big. Like at one point the school.
So he had students outside of his sons and his daughter.
Yeah. At one point his school was really, really big. We were going to tournaments. We were like, he had a really big school, and then just like that, it just fizzled out because one, he is very much a person. When the humility that I feel like I have, it didn't come from my father. It came from my mother.
Okay.
And my father, we would go places, and even when we would go to other kung fu tournaments, or we would see other kung fu people, because other kung fu schools would have the same idea that we had. Look, we need our students to get experience in fighting. So wherever we can get it, we're gonna do that. And so every so often, it wasn't often, but every so often we would run into another kung fu school.
Okay.
And it's hard to understand how his mind worked, is what I'm getting at, before I go too deep into
track, yeah.
He could have known, right? He could have potentially known, hey, this is what this is gonna be like, but he could have also tried to do research on his own and said, oh, they have fighting. Let's just, like, I don't know where his mind was at.
Okay.
But there was also, at karate tournaments, they also have what's called continuous fighting. And continuous fighting is a kickboxing match. Okay. You get in, they don't have a ring, so
that's the one you love the most, correct?
Yeah, because like you get in the ring, you get in a box, it's literally like they box off the floor with tape, and you're in the box, and they're like, hey, 2-minute rounds, go. And then when you get older, they're like 3-minute rounds, go. And it's just hands and headgear, and you go at it.
So allow me to ask this. So after the tournament, because obviously you continue to do more, so you gained a vast amount of knowledge, right? So fast forward a little bit, but then I'm gonna bring it back. So as a martial artist, with your extensive knowledge in kung fu, your knowledge in capoeira, karate, what was the other one, brother?
There's kung fu,
Yeah.
karate, capoeira, jiu-jitsu. I think that's it.
Okay.
Karate,
So those
capoeira,
four.
jiu-jitsu.
So
Wrestling.
Yeah. There we go.
Wrestling.
There was something you said in the last interview, and hopefully I can recreate that. It was dealing with the kicks.
Muay Thai.
No. It was something you said, and I was like, oh, so you think this motherfucker's a dumbass? But now let me stop. I'm gonna try to recreate that if I can. So I said that to somebody in another interview. I even shouted you out in that part. I was like, oh shit. Anyway, so with all your knowledge, you've taken it in training and on the mat. How much of that does that really come into play in a street fight? And the reason why I say that, so the legs, the knees, the foot, grapples, slams, hands. In a regular street fight, what are you more prone to go to?
It depends on how tall a person is.
Okay.
Because the way that I fight, I'm an infighter because I'm short and I have short arms. So I'm trying to get as close to you as I can. If you're someone that's my height, I'm probably gonna kick you in the face.
And you think they're stupid if you do that, don't you? Anyway, let me stop. If I kick you in the face, I think you're stupid. Oh, he really said that. No, let me stop.
Oh yeah, I did say
Yeah,
that.
so I was like, oh shit. Sorry, I had to make sure I catch that part. Oh, Cap, that was my favorite part of the original interview. I said, wait, what?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, no, because so
He's not wrong. So basically, if I'm in a street fight, right? I'm not gonna immediately come at you. I'm gonna let you come to me. When you're coming towards me, how you come towards me, how you initiate the aggression, tells me everything I need to know about how you're gonna fight. If you do the nigga 3000 stance, I'm gonna kick you into fucking oblivion. I'm like, all right, bet.
God.
The bottom of my foot is going to be. You're gonna feel the bottom of my foot on the inside back of your spine. All right.
You talking about they pull their pants up and then they dip and then let me stop.
It'll be like
somebody gonna see this. Like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. No.
You know Dragon Ball Z where you punch through and you can see the fist.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my
Was that
foot.
his foot? Oh, my bad. My bad.
Like,
I'm so sorry, brother. Thank you.
But just like so, if you come like this, you're getting rocked. But if you come like this, even though it's still kind of like a high stance, this could be anything. This could just be an ugly Muay Thai stance. And I'm like, okay, let me be a little bit more careful about my approach. So I might try to step in and use my hands, and then that's kind of where how I approach. But I like to throw kicks. So I'm going to try to set up a way to kick you and get you out of there. Because I know for a fact, if I kick somebody unprotected in the body, especially if you're not prepared for it, the fight's over. So getting kicked in
the esophagus. No, it's not. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
But it's a risk to throw a head kick. So again, I'm only going to throw head kicks if I think you're an idiot.
Well, so the reason why I'm gonna try to bring that back, the material from the last one. So we had talked about just the hands, right? So now this is discussion for all the martial artists and all that. So I don't know if you recall, but remember when I asked you, all right? A proficient wrestler, we'll say, has 2 years of, very proficient, 2 years of wrestling. A proficient boxer, 2 years of boxing, very proficient. These guys just so happen to meet each other out on the street. And I asked you, if you recall, I said, hey, if these guys were to get into a scuffle, who would you put your money on? I don't know if you recall, but you said the boxer. So taking it back to there, why would the boxer, who's only good with the hands, win against the wrestler in a street fight? And the reason why I asked that, in my mind, I get you in a grapple or I slam you, especially on concrete. In my mind, that fight's over. I don't know if perspective might have changed or stay the same, but do you recall the answer you said the last time in that interview when I asked you in that format?
I don't remember what I said, but I do think that the boxer is going to be better prepared in that scenario. Because you got to think about the technicality of each art, right? To be good at wrestling, you need a little bit more training. You need a little bit more time on the mat. You need a little bit more understanding about weight control, things of that nature to be good at wrestling. To be good at boxing, you need about a month or 2 months to be at least beginner level boxer, right? Because at the end of the day, all you're doing is throwing punches. There is a sweet science to it. This is not an insult to boxers. I'm not saying it's simple. I'm saying the tools you need in order to be successful are less than the tools you need
for wrestling.
Exactly. So in, let's say the same scenario, right? 2 years. In that first year, if that boxer is serious, after that first year, that following year, he's probably competing.
Okay.
He's probably competing he or she at a level where they are constantly growing.
Okay.
The wrestler might be doing the same thing, but to get to that point, it would take them longer.
So how about this? Isn't it more dangerous if somebody jab, punch, haymaker, if they throw and they get that motherfucker caught? Because it's liable, again, to me, I know this ain't Hollywood or the movies, but that punch getting grabbed and you get counteracting, but getting put in an armbar and broken, like that wouldn't necessarily happen?
No, because you got to think, catching is hard, right?
For striking?
Yeah, if you catching a punch, like grabbing it, is hard.
Okay.
And catching it and holding on, let's say you catch it, can you hold on to it? Right? So that's why a lot of times you see in MMA, if they catch a hand, they're immediately pummeling in. It's not
second nature to, okay.
Right, it's not catch, ooh, I caught it. No, it's catch, move. And that you have to practice catching. If you're not practicing catching, then how effective is your catch? And are you going to be able to do so? So again, going back to the scenario of that boxer, he has 2 years of building up his boxing speed. Boxers are fast punchers.
Okay.
They are fast punchers. They're gonna hit you.
Okay.
They are, just because they're quick with it.
Okay.
And so if they can not even set up that jab, if they understand their distance, 2 years, I'm imagining they understand distance and distance control. So if they understand, okay, I'm close enough to hit him with a hook, if you're not prepared to guard that hook, you're going down, because it's a science. If I hit you in a certain place on your head, it's here, and then I think the top of the temple. The
fight's pretty much over because you're all cold.
Yeah, okay. And then you get knocked out for different reasons. So when you get hit here, it separates the bottom jaw from the top of your skull, and there's a nerve cluster right here that if it disconnects,
it's over.
It just shuts you off. The same as when you get at the top of the temples, there's a nerve cluster somewhere on your temple where if you get hit there, it doesn't necessarily knock you out, but you see when people get hit on the temple, they're awake, but they're just like, they can't control their bodies.
So allow me to ask you this. With everything you've done, whether it's been a grapple, a rib break, a submission, a punch, have you seen the guys you've defeated or survived, whatever the term may be, have you done that basically more with your hands than any other? And again, Kung Fu, right? And again, Kung Fu, the whole body is a weapon, like with most other martial arts. But is it safe to say you've seen more damage done just with the base of your hands than any other extensive knowledge or information you have in fighting? What I mean information, like things that you've used on people, a kick, a slam,
so
a grapple,
if we're
a punch.
If we're talking me, I'd say I'm about half and half on hands and feet, just because I would be classified something as like a leg fighter, because I throw kicks, and the way that we drill our kicks,
to the stupid people, but yeah, no, it's not
the way that we drill our kicks, I'll throw up a roundhouse just in your face, just like a jab would. I'll use my legs like jabs, so I'll throw that, bam, overhand, over. In the same way, I'll throw my jab, fake, throw a kick, boom, over. And so if you can use both ambidextrously, that's a big word.
Yeah, I know you did. No, the fuck. If I may retain my liquids for a minute. You know, the thing you wear that don't make it no better. You ever seen Take Me Away coming up? Now, if I may retain my liquids here for a little while, I'm like, oh, this nigga.
Man.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Y'all don't cancel me. It's all fun. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But for me, that's how I see it. So
keep it going. I got PTSD. I thought this thing was off. I was gonna be like, oh, you bitch. All right, we good. Oh, we real good anyway.
So for me, it's about half and half, hands and feet.
Got you.
If for what I've seen, it's 100% hands.
Hand me the little
100%.
Hand me the little one.
Oh,
Yeah. We don't need them anymore.
okay.
But
Bet.
the other two are still going.
I bet.
Anyway, we're gonna keep it going though. I can at least take this, get my next room to breathe and shit. Take this out. Damn, RJ. All right, cool. Anyway, I apologize for
No,
that.
you're good. You're good. But yeah, so for everyone else, like everything I've seen, TV, things I've seen in person, real fights, tournaments, cage fights, hands.
Okay, so
I will see most of the fights are going to end from a punch. They are.
So is it safe to say that? Well, it's good to know. I'm gonna make this question make sense. So probably as far as self-defense, hand striking is probably your best bet, right? So with that being said, as a life skill, whether you're a man or a woman, do you think self-defense in martial arts is a necessity in life? Like that's something that you need? Remember you're a warrior now, so you got other warriors watching this.
For me personally,
Okay.
it depends on your worldview. If you are someone who has faith in the world and you say, you know what, I don't need to constantly be on my toes. You know what, fuck it, I'm not gonna answer this shit like this. Look, learn a martial art, okay?
There we go, okay.
Learn a martial art. It's regardless of what you think, regardless of what your religious beliefs are, the world is dangerous. Get a firearm or learn how to fight.
Yes, sir.
Because at any point in time, your life can come crashing down because some idiot decided he wanted to rob you. Or some idiot decided, you know what, he liked the way your girlfriend looks. Or I like the way that you look. You know, learn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, I tried to, and for me, that's a weird thing to say because I'm Christian. And, you know,
Peace.
A lot of people believe that meek means pacifist. No, the biblical meaning of meek was you carry a sword, but you keep your sword sheathed. So that way you only use it if it's necessary.
Message. No, but
Message.
And the reason why I asked that, like, if it was we're going to shift it away from martial arts because I want to touch on your choreography in this interview. I do owe you that much. Yeah. But so the reason why I asked if you feel like it needed to be a life skill, I'm gonna use me as an example. I'm a very soft-hearted type person. Now I do have the intrusive thoughts, like you said, especially when I'm pissed off. I'll flatten your tires. But no, let me stop. No, but no, it's like talking to martial artists, the guys at Carolina Performance, Eric, Cabo, Caleb. I'm gonna use Storm as an example. Like these guys who either have gotten in the ring, had to defend themselves, whatever. It's kind of like, okay, you guys, everybody that I've mentioned that I've talked to, it's not like you guys you don't go looking for trouble. No. I think the whole bully aspect really is like amplified in schools and all that. But like it's like I know, still pray for y'all obviously, but I know at the end of the day if you guys were to get in a dangerous situation, you guys would be okay. Yeah. Because you have the discipline and the knowledge, you know, to defend yourself. But the reason why for me, because I also have a young audience, and I'm hoping that they hear, because again, I've talked to jiu-jitsu coaches, a Krav Maga coach, a capoeira teacher, Kyokushin karate, kung fu, MMA, mixed martial arts. Like, you guys, well, I'm gonna say this with the most due respect. You guys have that in y'all, but y'all don't project that onto other people. I think one thing you learn about martial arts or self-defense is something like that is more of a internal problem if they try to project that on people. But bringing it full circle, I like hearing that martial arts or self-defense is a life skill, because some of us didn't come up knowing that. So allow me to ask this: do you think that with what you just said, it's too late, regardless if you're a youngin' or an adult, it's too late to learn?
So there's a saying. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. Okay. So if you haven't planted that tree yet, cool, go out, plant it today. Okay. You know, there's never a point in your life where you can't pick up that skill. Okay. There's never a point in your life where you can't learn something new. You're always a student of the craft. Okay. And so one of the things that we're taught in Kung Fu, going back to the student number thing, there's no one in that school who isn't in a place where they can learn. Even the instructor. The instructor the Sifu will come out and spar with the students sometimes, and the Sifu will tell you, hey, I'm learning as I'm fighting you guys. I'm learning about myself, I'm learning about you all, I'm tweaking my own style, and I'm growing just like you're growing. And the cool thing about Kung Fu in particular is the way that it's taught. When you get to a point where you're teaching, you have your own style of Kung Fu. Because you have taken things that you like, taken things that work for you, and you've grown them into something that works specifically for you. Just like if you teach 7 people how to kickbox, you're going to come out with 7 different styles of kickboxers, because they're all going to
aggressive, passive, soft.
Right, they're gonna do what works for them. Are they southpaw? Do they like the southpaw stance more? Do they like orthodox more? Are they aggressive, like you said? Are they gonna kind of lean in and use more feet? Are they gonna dig in and use more hands? And you can teach them all the same exact way. They are going to come up with their own, what works for them on their own. Even with what you teach, even with what I teach, it's going to be interpreted and internalized differently with everybody else. So
I did this last time. Still going to touch on the choreography, because what I do want to, he's going to be a returning guest, y'all. We got great projects coming, so I promise y'all, he gonna be one of the boozies of my channel. He gonna be like one of the favorites. But no, so what before we move it over to the choreography part, what are some misconceptions you think people, the past, today, whatever, what are some misconceptions you think people may have about martial arts overall, good or bad?
The biggest one is that learning a martial arts is going to automatically make you better than someone who doesn't.
All right.
It's not. What it's going to do, it's going to give you the skills that you need and that will help you to be a better fighter. But if you, I talked about this last time, there's a dude in my neighborhood when I was growing up. His name was Keegan.
Shout out Keegan.
I don't know what he's doing in life right now, but me as a 30-year-old man would not fight high school Keegan, because he was a monster when it came to fighting. And he didn't train, he just understood the art of violence. And that nigga was scary.
So allow me to So allow me to ask this question. Then I'll. So do you think like something like that truly is second nature for people? Like regardless if they have the training or not. They just.
There are people out there who are savants when it comes to music.
Okay.
They wake up one day and they're just like, oh. Like as a child, they're like, what's this cool toy? And then fucking play beautifully, right? There's people like that exist in music, in art, and literature. So why is it any different for the art of violence? Why is it any different for the art of martial arts? Okay. So it's the same mentality. Just like Jackie Chan is a once in a lifetime talent when it comes to performance martial arts.
Thank you for the memories.
He's a once in a lifetime. We will probably be old men the next time we see someone who could come close to that. You know what I mean? Like someone who is in that realm of, and we still have Donnie Yen and people like that who have been doing it for a long time as well.
But the age too.
But the level of artistry combined with the martial arts is untouched when in that regard when you're thinking of Jackie Chan, because he was just when it comes to martial performance, that's where he is. He's the apex, and he is a once in a lifetime talent when it comes to that. And that takes talent. You can be talented in that. Just like I say, John Jones. If he would stop, if he would just stop,
the drugs.
If he would just. That's a whole podcast in itself. And
you're right.
And DC talks about it on his podcast. He was like, John Jones had everything working for him. He had every tool in his arsenal to be the greatest of all time. And because of his personal decisions, there's always going to be a question mark on whether or not he has that position. But if you look at it objectively, like forget everything else, that man is a once in a lifetime talent in the art of violence. So
I'm glad you said that because there was a question that I thought of, but you said like another topic for another sit down in the realm of martial arts. So I'm gonna cut it here as far as the martial arts. One, thank you for the extensive knowledge. Thank you for coming back and speaking on it. The reason why I want to touch on your choreography is because do you have to be a good martial artist to do choreography?
not necessarily.
Okay,
It will definitely help.
I believe it.
But let's say you're like, you know what, Zay, I want to be in one of your videos. Like, cool. What can you do? Where's your skill set at?
Taking a hit, but anyway, yeah.
I would then train you up enough to get to the skill set we need you to be at. So
For choreography.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's why I like a lot of actors. They'll be like, okay, this is going to be a choreography heavy project. I need to start training to make sure that I'm ready for the choreography. That's why Iron Fist failed. That actor, I can't remember his name, but he didn't do any training.
Shit, Danny Rand. Yeah, that motherfucker.
He didn't do any training for the choreography. So
So
when
he just.
yeah, so when they went to teach him the choreography, it looked goofy because he had no. They wanted the choreography to be at this level, but he was still at this level. And
I
so
feel like he did do pretty good in season 2. Still trash. Okay, say look, one choreography. Okay. Now let me stop. So what got you into choreography? Like, was it like, what got you into choreography?
honestly, I was just thinking. I was in high school.
You've been doing it that long.
Well, no, I didn't do any choreography in high school, but I started thinking about it then because I'm like, all right, I like martial arts a lot. I clearly want to do something with this. What do I want to do? Because initially I was going to join the Marines when I was in high school. My plan was I wanted to join the Marines, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna join the Marines. I'm gonna be a scout sniper. That's my goal. I talked to a recruiter. He was like, hey man, we'll take this practice ASVAB. Took the practice ASVAB, and I got real high on it. He was like, hey man, you're not being a scout sniper. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, we're not. He was like, and I could be wrong. I wasn't a Marine, so I don't know how the recruitment process works. But he was like, we would not allow you to have that job with your scores being this high. And I was like, dang, that sucks. He was like, yeah. He's like, we got other options for you.
So you was a smart killer, and they didn't like that. What the fuck?
So, again, he could have been just trying to like help me out as like one just man to man. Like, look, there are better options for you type shit. But that's what he told me. And I was like, you know what? I guess I'll go to college. And so I went to college for theater. And I chose.
Huh? You like it?
No, I didn't like it.
You didn't?
No, because one of the reasons I chose my college, I went to Valdosta State, and I spoke to my advisor, and I told her, hey, I do not want to be an actor. I want to be behind the scenes, and this is what I want to do. I want to make choreography, and ultimately I want to direct. She was like, okay, with choreography, you're going to need to do at least some acting at some point. So let's put you on the acting track. But there's a local stunt troupe that we have. We'll bring them in. We'll work with all the students, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, cool, all that sounds good. And so I'm doing my classes. I'm talking to people. I'm learning about the course. And from what I understood, from what the graduates, or not the graduates, the seniors were telling me, and the other people were telling me, was like, yeah, we don't do none of that stuff. They had one stage combat class that goes up to stage combat like 2.
I know you was sick.
And I was like, I just wasted all this fucking time.
Well, the fuck?
Like, and so during that time, I was doing my own personal projects. I've made 4 or 5 when I was in college. And then I left college, moved in with my brother, and then I did I showed you the one I did with my sister, and that's the last one I did before I joined the Army.
Allow me to ask this. So because you notice how certain choreographers are like popping now on social media. With what you just said, do you think like that's why it's getting the attention because it's not a common practice like within school or like hopefully I make it like an elective, like it's something that you have to be good at, legitimately good at on your own? Because you said it went so far in that particular school that you went to, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like that's why choreography is starting to pop off a little bit more now than it was when,
Choreography is popping off a little bit more now because there's just more access to people who know what they're doing. Back in the day, it was very much, hey, who did you train with? Can you put this scene together for us? And that's why a lot of the older choreography looked kind of the same.
So it was really word of mouth.
It was, yeah, because you got to think, if you do good, they're not going to risk hiring someone else. They want this same guy to make all the choreography, and that's kind of how it was. Now you can go online and put your videos online, and you can present yourself as a complete product.
You can create your own brand, basically.
Exactly. Also, the way that they recruit choreographers is different. Back in the day, you would just show up to a set and be like, "Hey, I can be a stuntman. I can do these things." Boom, and then it could be on the spot hiring like that. Now it's all run through Screen Actors Guild. You pay for your membership and you become a member of the Screen Actors Guild, and you can work on screen actor movies, SAG movies. If you want to do independently, you can't be a part of the SAG. You have to do independent work, and then you can build your brand that way.
So, duh type question, but that's ultimately your goal and what you want to do, right?
Ultimately, I want to direct. I want to make kung fu movies. I want to make martial arts movies, like
the traditional way or through Hollywood?
No, I'm thinking more so along the lines of a company like WellGo USA, things like that, where it's like it could be a straight to DVD or straight to Netflix thing.
The only reason I apologize, but so the only reason I ask, as you know, content creating is not easy, and what I'm starting to learn, which is why, again, so many skills, like I said, that you have: martial artist number 1, fitness gym influencer number 2, teacher, all that. Definitely could say you're a content creator because you're trying to put your brand out there. But the one thing I've learned about content creating, and I'll bring it full circle to the choreography, you have to have a team for something like that. You have to, you could be the face, yeah, but what helps is, like, I'm not gonna know everything about graphic design. I'm not gonna know everything about web design. Yeah. And then on top of that, like, so this right here, 2 chairs, shitload of cameras, mics, talking, I'm a content creator. People see it as a podcast. I can build an audience that way.
Right.
There are certain other skills though that I would need in order to be in the realm that you're in. Like, I would want to be a choreographer, but I don't know how to do the moves. I would want to do that. I would want to be a graphic designer. You have a temperament for certain aspects of content creating. So the only reason I had asked what your goals were at, like, do you plan on to do all this by yourself, or are you actually trying to build, are you trying to be the only person behind the brand, or are you trying to build a team with that brand?
I would like to build a team. So in my mind, because I'm doing Full Sail right now. So in my mind, I'll do Full Sail. I'll find work with however God wants to push me, and then while I'm doing that, I will then start to build up. First thing I need is a stunt troupe. I need a team of people who are going to be behind the camera, in front of the camera, doing the choreography. I could be someone that's in front of the camera, but I also am understanding that with my injuries from the Army and
thank you.
with my injuries from the Army, and then the fact that I'm getting a little bit older in the terms of martial arts, in the world of martial arts, and that there's a talent pool of younger guys who are fresh and healthy that are super incredibly talented, I'm kind of accepting the fact that, look, my role is probably going to be behind the camera. Unless they need a big brolic nigga to throw some kicks. You know what I mean?
No, you do. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And so the first thing I need is people. I need bodies.
Okay.
Like, even if they don't want to do like behind the camera stuff, cool. I can create choreography for other people and then do the filming, or I can do the choreography for me and another person, and I can set the camera up in different angles. It'll take longer, it'll be a pain, but we will still get the same effect. So ultimately, to come back to your question, yes, I do want a whole team. Like, in my mind, when I get to the point where I'm directing these movies, I will have my own company. Okay. So 8711 Action is 8711. If I'm remembering this correctly, they are the people that did the choreography for John Wick. They started off as a stunt troupe on YouTube, and so they just built themselves up, and then boom, now they are not now, but they've established themselves as a company, as a workable production team in the industry. And so ultimately, I would like to create something like that, where like, hey, we need you to come, do the choreography for this, and I can do that while also at the same time doing my own independent filming.
So allow me to ask this question, because that is, to me, I don't know all the quirks to it, but that definitely seem attainable. So for me as a content creator and a gym influencer, if I can call myself that, here's my question. Are you even willing to travel outside of like, so let's say doing different projects like in Florida, Virginia, Georgia and all that, would you be, to get your brand out there, would you be willing to do that, or do you just want to be restricted to North Carolina?
No, I definitely, I initially didn't want to stay in North Carolina, but things happened in my personal life, and it was just, this was where I needed to be.
Okay.
I had planned to move back to Georgia because Ty Perry Studios is out there, and the people I had planned on linking up with an already established stunt troupe out there, and they said I could go work with them, and since that point in time they've gotten business, and so it's just a matter of going somewhere where you're needed. If you're in a place where all they do is film dramas, then your options are establish a base for what you're trying to do where you're at, or go to somewhere where they're doing what you're doing. And so I'm at the point in my evolution where I'm deciding whether or not, hey, am I going to try to build that base here, or am I going to start here and then move to where I'm needed?
So allow me to put in this request, because again, you've done me so many favors again, allowing me to re-interview you. If there's any way I can help and assist from the content creating aspect, again, obviously I don't know much. These youngins was talking to me yesterday about a Discord while I was stressed. What the fuck is that? But anyway, but no, if there's any way that I can assist, the only reason, I'm gonna tell you like I told everybody else, as of now, until I get my brand out there, you're paying me with something, which is your time. The first time, I wasted your time the first time. That was very valuable. Probably can never get that back. Moving forward.
I dropped so much knowledge.
Yeah, you really did. That's how I was like, but you still drop some gems even now. And that one, I'm grateful for you. But this man is the reason why I got 3 cameras and all these mics that you see in these setups, and some additional equipment. When you care about your craft, you fuck it up or whatever, you come back and fix it. You've allowed me to do that. So since I can't pay you in cash yet, we gonna get bigger, I promise y'all. Since I can't pay you in cash, again, allow me to be part of your content and choreography journey. If there's anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate. Again, there's not a lot of shit that I know in that realm, but I can bring to you what I know, and I can assist the best way I can. Okay. Allow me to contribute to your dream, and then, hey, again, with more interviews, let's see what the future looks like, a year from now, 2 years from now. Let's build.
For sure.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you,
X on some real shit. Thank you for coming back. Y'all, I'm going to bring him back more. You're going to see a lot more collab work. And I'm not just talking about like on Instagram and YouTube, like just all platforms. So again, thank you for bringing your charismatic energy. Thank you for giving us that extensive knowledge. Thank you for, again, as far as your story, thank you for telling that a second time. I'm just going to touch on this briefly. You speaking about your traumas and your pain, because off the camera, there were some things that you had relayed to me, and I know for some people, you have a different resiliency than others, obviously, because of the shit you went through anyway, but a lot of people wouldn't have been able to come back and talk about their pain like that a second time, and you did that. So with that, bow and respect, thank you so much. As we close, is there any closing thoughts you want to say to me or my audience for the future?
One, just to touch on the trauma thing. I survived because of my siblings. We really like laid into each other as each other's like pillars coming up. My brother did it for me. I did it for my brother. I did it for my sister. She did it for us. And so it was a family effort to keep us from drowning. Because in a situation like that, it's hard to see, the good. But we had each other, and then on top of that, in addition to having each other, we had our mother. And my mom is a saint among saints. She was always very much she was the thing that kept me from crashing out. I mean, keep it a buck. Like I was very close to being like an A1 crash out. Like at one point, like I was like my anger,
Justifiable one too.
my
right?
anger was bad. I was like getting into fights all the time, and I was doing shit like I was walking by like the people I knew were affiliated in me, like just to antagonize them, just because I knew they were going to try to jump me, and I was like, yeah, because I needed that pain. I needed that. For me, it's weird getting hit. I'm not a masochist, but it does something to my like. It does
So
something.
you get hit and you go, "Cowabunga, it is." Then. oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And it hurts and all that good stuff, but it's something about it just really like, and I've since learned to like, all right, no, like,
Nigga, chill out. Yeah, you right.
Like, you better calm down. And so, all that say, I had my siblings, and so that's like all the resiliency you see. It's for my family. That's what's kept me afloat. On to a more positive thing, because I got dark real quick.
A little comic thing. Yeah.
But no, on the real, I appreciate you having me. Like I said in the beginning, this is a chance for me to at least introduce myself, throw myself out there. Like I said, if you want to follow me, I'm on TikTok, Instagram. I'm Kung Wu-Tang, Kung Wu-Tang.
We'll be posted on the video.
And you'll find me. As of lately, I've been doing more gym-related content. But as I grow and I get better and I get more confident in my own abilities and I gather more people, I'll do more Kung Fu related content. You'll see on my page that it's kind of a mix of both right now. I kind of go through a lull where sometimes I do like gym stuff, sometimes it's all bag work, and then sometimes it's like just back-to-back videos.
Silverback. No, it's not, yeah.
Sometimes it's back-to-back videos of me doing form. So it kind of just depends, but ultimately, like I said, my goal is I'm eventually going to start getting back into choreography, things like that. So stay tuned. It's going to be awesome.
Say less. Again, appreciate y'all. Thank you, X, and we are out.
Cut.
Message. I'm sorry.